We're welcoming back Ted Savransky, professional sports bettor from out there in Las Vegas. And Teddy and I have been talking about a few of these games the last several days in the videos, and we're going to take a look at two more tomorrow's wild card playoff games and see if there's anything else we can squeeze out of it. The Chiefs are playing the Houston Texans. The line is sitting at -3 right now, favoring the Chiefs. So I'm anxious, and the total's at 40. So, Teddy, what I wanted to find out is, since we've talked last, is there anything more in this game that you see or might not have seen before that makes you go, hey, wait a minute, I might be leaning on the wrong side, or maybe I'm going to, put my bet on this side or this total? What are your thoughts on that, Ted?
Well, there are really three key things that I want to talk about for this game. And two of them are trend related, and they're two of arguably the strongest trends that you'll find. And I'm not a guy that bets trends blindly, but bettors need to be aware of both of these trends. One of them strongly favors Kansas City, and this has been a trend that's been cashing winning bets in NFL wildcard action since 2002. I got it at 37, 14, and 1 against the spread.
Wow. And
that trend simply says, take the team that faced the tougher regular season schedule based on the standard metrics. I'm going to use Jeff Sagarin's numbers because the trend is attributed to Sagarin, and there's no comparison. Kansas City faced a much tougher schedule according to Sagarin's numbers than Houston. Therefore, the Chiefs are a clear choice based on that trend. However, there is an alternate trend. It's perhaps even stronger because it hasn't lost at all since 2004, 13-0 ATS in the last 13 tries. And that trend favors Houston, and it favors them very strongly. And much like the Sagarin trend, it passes the does it make sense test. The Sagarin trend makes sense because teams that are beating up on weaklings all year aren't necessarily battle tested for the postseasons, and the teams that have faced a tougher competition have an edge. Well, here's a trend that says you go against a team that has won 8 games or more in a row heading into the playoffs. Teams that have gone into the playoffs having won 8 or more games in a row are now 0-13 against the spread in their last 13 tries. And again, it passes the does it make sense test. When you're talking about a 13-0 trend, why are these teams overvalued? Well, when you win 8 or more games going into the postseason in a row, the betting markets take notice. Bettors who've been riding that team continue to ride that team. And guess what? You end up laying an extra point or 2 or 3 based on that hot streak. And it's a hot streak that doesn't necessarily carry over to January football. So the two trends put you on opposite sides here. There's also one personnel situation that's developed over the course of the last week that I think is worthy of discussion, and that's the issue at left tackle for the Houston Texans. They've got a Pro Bowler there, Dwayne Brown, or I should say they had a Pro Bowler there in Dwayne Brown. He got hurt last week, has now been ruled out for the year. He's not coming back.
That's huge.
And that may be very bad news because KC, who was without Tamba Hali and Justin Houston last week on the defensive line, Hali's a maybe, Houston's a maybe. They've both been practicing this week, but Houston in particular would have been matched up against Brown. We're talking about a Pro Bowl defensive end, a guy who puts enormous pressure on opposing quarterbacks in Justin Houston. Looks like he's going to play. Looks like Brown is not going to play. Advantage Kansas City, and that's something that wasn't necessarily this clear earlier in the week.
That is interesting. That is real interesting. Another thought I had on this, what do you think of that total? These are two really good, respected defenses, and they bring it week in and week out. Now, again, with the strength of schedule that they have faced, maybe those stats are a little inflated. But what's your gut feel? Not a call, not a lean, but what do you think of that total? I just looked at it. It's at 40 right now, Ted.
I have no interest in the over.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
I mean, well, that says
when you look at why these two teams are here now, it's not because of Brian Hoyer. It's not because of the Texans offense, and it's not because of the Chiefs offense with Alex Smith either. And Smith's a guy who I think who takes more heat than he deserves. A guy whose intangibles are every bit as good as his tangibles. And his tangibles, of course, he doesn't throw a lot downfield, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. But Smith's ability to make plays with his feet, and this dates back to his undefeated season at Utah as a senior in college, that got him to be the number 1 overall draft choice. The guy makes plays with his feet. He's been doing it all year for KC. We don't think of Smith as being one of these exceptional mobile quarterbacks, but he has been. And that's one of the reasons why KC is where they are right now. But the strength of the Chiefs on the defensive side of the football, the strength of the Texans on the defensive side of the football, and when both teams' superior unit is on the defensive side of the football, those aren't games that I tend to look to bet over the total.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that thought on Alex Smith. I thought that was the case when he was in San Francisco, Ted. He was taking heat for nothing, and all he did that last season before he got hurt was just, have an incredible season. Next thing you know, he's out, Kaepernicker's in, and how'd that all work out in the end, right? So
well, they went to the Super Bowl with Kaepernick. Let's not. I thought.
Oh, and I'm not knocking him. I think the fact that Harbaugh left, that makes a big difference in his mojo and in his psyche. Yeah, he did a great job. He was fun to watch and everything else. But I'm saying, had Smith stayed there, I don't think that that would have been an issue down the road. I don't know, but he's fit in nicely, in Kansas City, and obviously Andy Reid's very pleased with him. And I'm leaning on the Chiefs because of that fact. And a lot of people don't know how mobile he is, and you hit it on the head. I know that fact at Utah. He was a scrambling quarterback. He was very efficient, and that's why he was the #1 pick. All right, Ted, well, that's the Chiefs and the Houston game, and looking forward to having you back again. We're going to break down another one, and I wish you the best of luck over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give a slight lean here because my lean's on the other side of you.
Okay.
My lean here is towards Houston, but the key here is the 3.5. If I'm taking the Texans, this is a split line. It's mostly -3s out there on the Chiefs. If I'm taking the Texans, I want +3.5, but they're out there if you have the ability to shop for lines. And at that price, again, given that 0-13 angle for teams that have won 8 or more in a row, I think there's a little bit of value on the Houston side.
I like it. Thanks a lot, Ted. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.